gorgeous people. It's so nice to see everyone. Hold on. People are joining so fast. I'm losing my head. Okay, it's so nice to meet you all, to see you all, old friends and new. I've got Petrea, right?
Yes.
Petrea Burchard. See, I was going to get that wrong. I get the first one
My
right.
family's from Kansas.
Petrea Burchard. I like that though. It's like a book out. It's like a name out of a novel. So I was telling Petrea before this call started that there was a very specific reason aside from her being astoundingly talented, an author, which I want to talk about, brilliant, amazing, sparkling, and all that. There's another reason I kind of wanted to ask her to come on this call. Petrea and off the top of my head, Zura and Kimberly Weatherall have a thing that I admire so much. And I was saying that if any of you know Helena Bonham Carter, I'm probably mispronouncing her name as well, she has this quote where she says that everything is her art. Her life is her art. Her acting is her art. Her clothes are her art. She dresses the way she wants. She does what she wants. And she has a specific style that literally could only be hers. Nobody else is ever going to be able to fake being her or step in her shoes. And I see that in Petrea. I didn't even know you, but everything you do online it seems like it's you. Like you've got a very strong center to what you like and what you don't like, and also a visual one. And you've decided what your style is and you own it. I mean, I might be wrong, but that's the sense I got. And I'm intrigued by that because to me, it's the thing that I love the most. I dress the way I dress. I do what I want to do. I don't care. I really don't care. And I admire people that have the, for lack of a better word that I can say on YouTube, the guts to do that. 10-year-old Petrea, what were you wearing then?
Oh, first of all, I have to tell you, I do care. I'm not immune to other people's opinions of me, but I also have gotten old enough that I'm aware that there's not much I can do about it. So, yeah, I want everybody to like me, but frankly, I know it's not possible. So anyway, 10-year-old Petrea. 10-year-old Petrea.
Were you a people? Would you say you're a people pleaser?
Yeah.
When you were 10, were you?
When I was 10, absolutely. Yes.
Really?
I'm a much less of a people pleaser now. Something about getting over 60 and realizing I'm not going to be a hot babe anymore. It's just out of the realm of possibility. Has given me the freedom to stop worrying about pleasing other people so much. I don't want to be a jerk or anything. It's not that, but I'm out to please myself a lot more.
And you realize, don't you, at a certain point that it's a mug's game when you chase the hot babe? I mean, that hot babe treadmill for a year, and you're like, well, what is it you want me to do? Okay, so, and you finally get to the age, because you're usually too young, then the minute you get to the age that you're supposedly like old enough, then it's like you got to be having a kid. And the minute you have a kid, you're a mother. You're not the hot babe. Yeah. And if you don't have a kid, there's something wrong with you because you didn't have the kid. And then you have the kid, then you're the mother. You don't get to be the hot babe. You're like, wait, when did I get my hot babe moment? There was like
4 minutes. There's 4 hot babe minutes.
Yeah. And that week, I mean, for many evolved people, they didn't care. But personally, for me, that week that I got to be the hot babe, I didn't even get to enjoy it because I thought I was fat.
Me too, Daniela. Oh my gosh. Yes, I didn't even know I was a hot babe until years later. And I looked at old pictures and I went, my God.
I was like,
I had it going on. I didn't even know it.
I could have milked it. I could have stepped up career ladders because of my looks. I didn't know.
Neither did I. Good point. Yeah. That's so true.
You get a week. You do. And
Yeah.
then once you've had your kids, there's no, what's the good? What do we need you for?
Well, I didn't have kids, did you? Are you a
Nope.
mom?
Nope. And I'm not
I'm
going to
not either.
gloat. I promise I'm not going to gloat
Oh no.
because there are very valid choices on both sides. But
Absolutely.
I'm very happy with mine.
Mine
And
too.
I do love other people's kids. I have a friend that has a child and she sends me pictures, and that's fine for me.
I love some other people's kids.
Yes. Yes. There are a lot of other people's kids I like. I mean, I've worked around kids and everything. I do like kids. Um, I never had a problem with kids. I had an issue with the identity of being a mother.
Mm.
And and funny enough, I was saying this to somebody else. Most of the kids that were my age that we grew up in the same neighborhood, like childhood friends, I think there were like six of us, and none of us had kids
Oh wow.
because we were the kids that we saw our mothers raising us and working and tired. My mother was a school teacher. She used to cry in the car every day on the way to work.
Gosh.
And they didn't sell motherhood really well at that time, but
Yeah.
that
Right.
way.
Yeah.
But we're off track. I want to know
Okay.
about 10-year-old Petrea.
Okay. I when you say that, it calls up an image in my mind of a photograph of me on horseback. Because fortunately, we lived on the very edge of a small town and we were surrounded by farms. And uh, I I think I begged my parents for a horse so much, and they were able to find one for like $75.
Your own
And
horse?
my own horse.
What was it
Well, no,
called?
I had to share her. I had three siblings, but
What was her name?
I was the horsey girl. Her name was Pandora. And when we bought her, she was already pretty old, probably about 18 years old. And she'd been living in a barn, in a cold barn, and she was sway backed and skinny. And I tell you, we brought her home and we kept her at our neighbor's farm and we took care of her. And she became so beautiful. And we rode her like crazy. We all did. Mostly me, though. I was the horse crazy girl. And I had, neighborhood friends who also had horses, and we would all ride together.
I
That
love
was just
that.
super.
How long
Yeah.
did
And
you get to keep her?
um, I think only 4 or 5 years
You were her
before the vet.
forever love. You were her. I love that. That's so, because Anne
She
Richardson
loved us
had a
all.
horse, I think. I love that.
Well, we got another horse after Pandora. We got a gelding named Brandy, who was younger and needed some training. And that was fun because by then we kind of all knew more about riding and we had learned a little bit about training. And they were never show horses, but great memories, great
Yeah.
memories. Hmm.
And it's having, I'm a big believer in, I've just gone off for an hour about not having kids. But if I had kids, I would make sure they had a pet. Because
Oh,
talk
yeah.
about life lessons.
We had cats and dogs too.
Yeah.
So very
And that,
fortunate.
that, the whole loving something with all your heart
Mm-hmm.
and losing them and everything, it's a big lesson.
Yeah. Yeah.
It is. So I still, I mean, were you very kind of, you seem a little, I can't see you as a people pleaser. You seem kind of intrepid.
That's been a journey. As a kid, I was outgoing and I was popular. Kids liked me. That's because I knew how to please everybody.
Uh,
But I, I know that I really made an effort to, if I think about it carefully, I made an effort to be kind to everybody, and it wasn't entirely altruistic. I really wanted everybody to like me. I have to admit that. It's just the truth. But I I loved having friends. I still do. I love having a lot of friends.
you would have made a
You know,
great politician.
ugh,
I know, but you know what I mean?
I would have made some people mad. Yeah.
There
But
are some good ones, though. There are
it's a
some
good thing
good
that I
ones.
stayed out of politics, though.
Yeah,
I think.
yeah,
Yeah. It's too hard on me.
yeah,
It gets me too upset. Yeah.
yeah.
But no, I think that becoming I don't feel that much different than I did 50 years ago, but I am different, and that's just a process.
Well, that's why I asked the question specifically of 10 years old. I mean, I think sometimes people have their 10-year-old self a little earlier, a little later. But what I find is so true about it is you meet them on the way back. Like, I
Mm.
just find that everything, of course, we change and we grow, but so many of the things that make us us are there when we first have our little personalities and we're stomping our foot and this is the way life is going to be. And I think there's another I've been on social media too much. My life, I'm like talking in memes. But there's another one. Who is that poet that says life is all about taking off all the things that society and the world has put on you? So it's
Oh,
the
I haven't seen that
shedding.
one.
It's a good one that you're
But I
shedding.
get it. It's,
Yeah.
I think really we could all, I used to think that I had unique problems, because of my
Yeah.
experience or my family or whatever. And I've come to realize that basically, probably shouldn't say this, but basically childhood, your teen years, whatever, it's the time when all that crap gets put on you. And
Yeah.
then you become an adult and it becomes your responsibility. I don't care who did what to you. They can't take responsibility for you anymore, even if it was their fault in the beginning. Once you're an adult, you're the person who is responsible for dealing with all that stuff. So, yeah, that is the time when you need to, well, you decide you're either going to shed it or you're going to, drag it around with you like a chain. Stuff that gets ingrained in you for, decades is really
But
hard to get rid of.
yeah, but it's your point.
Oh,
It's your responsibility once you reach a certain age. We can't
yeah.
just say, I'm 99 years old. Really? I'm going to say, oh, well, my mother was always negative.
Yeah.
I've been in,
My mother was really hard on me, so I suffer. No, I don't. Yeah.
yeah.
Mm,
Did you have dreams? Did you have big plans when you were 10?
oh, sure. Um, yeah, I always wanted to be a movie star, which I discovered as an adult isn't the same as being an actress necessarily. And there came a time when I had to decide, well, did I want to be an actress? Because there was never a guarantee that I could be a movie star, but I could be an actress.
Yeah.
And so, but yeah, I did have big plans as a kid. I always did. Even in college, I remember telling one of the guys in my dorm that I was going to go to Hollywood and be an actress, and he was like, "Good luck with that." And I thought, okay,
Yeah, one of
all
those.
the naysayers have been my best advocates because they're the ones I go, okay, flip the bird and just, this is for you, pal. I'm going to prove you wrong.
Right. See,
I
that's
have
what I
built
see. That's what I sense in you. Yeah.
that. Okay.
It's like a
I do get
determination and
belligerent.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
let me, okay. I I want to go in order. I mean, I have to say, um, one little thing. Harry says, Petrea is putting Harry the librarian to shame with her bookshelves in the background.
Uh,
And on the subject of books, I want to talk about one very special book, but I'm going to do that later on. And
okay.
also, I want to go into the beginning of the story, but I'm going to skip ahead because I'm dying to hear about anime. I don't know
Oh,
anything about it. All I know is the really cool outfits that I want to
and the
hear about
boobs, right?
anime.
Those girls
Tell
have
me.
boobs.
I don't know anything. I don't know a single thing. Like
Okay.
literally don't know a thing except they're the cool kids. So tell me how you learned about it, what it
Honestly,
is.
okay. In 1995, I was invited to audition for a new anime dub. Basically, the Japanese uh, version gets dubbed into English for the American audience. And so I auditioned and got the job to play this character named Ryoko, who's a space pirate in a harem anime called Tenchi Muyo. And this is one
I
of the sort
gotta
of
be
innocent
honest,
ones.
I don't even know what anime is. Is it like a cartoon, like a movie, or just
It's Japanese
audio?
animation. Sometimes it's a movie, sometimes it's a series. We did, I think, 3 movies and 3 or 4 series, maybe 5 series with the same characters, but sometimes doing a whole different story. But the basic story stayed the same, which was that this boy, Tenchi, was surrounded by all these different girls, space girls. And, one of them was a princess, and one of them was the princess's little sister, and there was his mom and girl from college. And then there's this space pirate, Ryoko. It was a great part. It was really fun because she was all over the place. She was nasty. She was sexy. She was funny. She was desperate. She was insecure. She was everything. And I got to play all of those things vocally.
I want to see a picture of her. I want to see a picture of her. Can I find one on my screen and share the screen?
Yeah.
Okay, where do I find it?
Let's see.
Is it Ryoko?
Yes.
Japanese. Oh, you're not a manga artist, are you?
Not a manga artist, but there's manga art.
Anime. Ryoko, Tenchi, Muyo, Wiki.
Right.
Okay, I want to show everyone a picture of it because this is so cool. Oh, you're so cool. Okay, I'm going to see if oh wait, I lost it. Hold on, I'm going to see if I can share the screen with everyone. Just in case there might be 1 or 2 other people out there that are as unknowledgeable about this stuff as I am. You guys check that out. That's Petrea. Is that not the coolest thing on earth?
Ryoko. Yeah.
And they go crazy, don't they, for the like fan stuff. It's a big thing, isn't it? Like, did you have like
hearing from anime fans? I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to have a fan, but I have this. What was that? 1995. It's nearly 30 years later.
Where did you record from? From home, or did you go to the studio?
No, we recorded at studios in Los Angeles and the San Fernando Valley. The guy who played Tenchi, Matt Miller, was a friend from Chicago, and his wife at the time was one of the producers. So that's how they knew me, and they thought, well, let's have Petrea audition for this and see, but we played these parts. We played them over and over again for a while, doing all these different series, and the fans really took to it. It was on the Adult Swim on Toonami, which some of you may be familiar with. I wasn't, honestly. I didn't know anything about anime myself.
I mean, can kids watch it, or is it too adult for kids to watch?
We toned it down. The Japanese jokes were hard to translate. And some of them, even if you translated them directly, they wouldn't, even adults, they have a whole different, or at least at the time, there was a whole different sensibility in those scripts than what was going to pass on American TV. So like there were a couple of scenes where they had to put clothes on the girls. And
because isn't Japan the place where they teach the little kids when they're like 5 years old to cross the street? There's that whole TV show about it. They teach them to cross the street. I think it's Japan. I don't want to sound ignorant if I've got the wrong country, but I'm pretty sure it's Japan doing things or something.
You're too young to remember Speed Racer, right? Did you ever see Speed Racer?
Is it a cartoon?
Yeah, it was one of the first Japanese animes to come to the United States.
I've never seen any anime. I need to check it out. I'm so excited. I like the visual. I like the way it looks visually.
Yeah. Some of it is so pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I feel, at the time we had no idea what we were doing. We were just going to work. That was our job. And we did it and we had a good time. And then, 20 years later, I was still being invited to anime cons and people still wanted my autograph. And what a blessing.
Did you go? What were they? Have you gone to?
I even went to one in England. That was the most recent one, and that was 2017. It was at Coventry University.
Did you dress up?
No, I didn't. But all the fans come dressed though. They it's a whole thing.
Kim says she didn't realize Speed Racer was anime. Her kids loved it.
Oh yeah, I think that's it would be one of the earliest ones. And I don't know if I should say J.R. Dawson. Can I tell the story?
Tell it, and then if you regret it in a day or two, I'm editing out my double chin. We can just edit it out.
All right. So years later, I have not done any anime for years. I've been doing audiobooks. In fact, since 2017 was my first audiobook at the age of 62, kind of a career change. And so my most recent book, which hasn't come out yet, but is available for pre-order, is called The First Bright Thing. And it was written by J.R. Dawson, who's here on the call. And I invited her to come. And I'm glad you're here. But when I auditioned for it, I simply, I read the pages that I was given and loved it and already felt like I knew the characters,
Oh, I love
especially
that.
the main character.
When the characters become your friends.
And I'm not just saying this because JR is here. This is a gorgeous book. It gives me
Yeah.
chills to think about it. You all want to hear it, or at least read it. If you don't want to listen to me, just go read it. It's a gorgeous book.
Petrea, we
okay.
would listen to you, of course.
But anyway, so I auditioned. I sent in my audition, and I heard back from the producer that I got the job, and he said, "This is the funniest story." J.R. Dawson is not an anime fan and didn't know about Ryoko, but her wife knew about Ryoko, and the whole time J.R. was writing the book, she was envisioning, she was hearing Ryoko's voice telling the story.
Destiny.
Is that, I said, we got to use that in the advertising.
That's destiny. I love
that. Crossing of destinies or something. I don't know.
I love that.
The book is kind of about, and it's true.
Yep. Yeah. I love that. Yeah. I do love that.
I tell you, I hope you don't mind, but I tell that story all the time. But it also comes, those things intersected.
Well, also the relationship between, because I can hear in your voice, I've got some writers, and I know a lot of narrators that feel that way. Almost all of us have our writers. And some of them are writers that we started with, but you've got your writers that are like close to your heart, that are like, there's a different relationship between a narrator and a writer. Do you know what I mean? Because you've both, because they've trusted you with their baby and you've put your heart and soul into it. And it's just, I think it's not, maybe musicians do that when they do the music, to combine their music together. Yeah. I think there's something special when different types of artists mix.
I wrote a story, Tanya Eby of Blunder Woman Productions put out a call a couple years ago, maybe 3 or 4 years ago, for short stories for a compilation called Ghost Stories. And she wanted to make an audiobook with short stories. And I sent one in and she decided she was going to publish it and asked me if I wanted to narrate it, but I didn't think I should because the main character is like 21. And I thought, I sound too fakey when I'm trying to sound young. In fact, right now I can hear a little scratch in my voice because I'm getting over COVID. But this is I have kind of a low voice that can be gravelly sometimes anyway. Well, she hired Rachel Jacobs, who's a wonderful YA narrator, to narrate the thing. And when I listened to it, this, 6 or 7 minute story, Rachel brought stuff to it that I didn't even know was there. Yeah. And it's not like she made it up. She just found it in the text. And she made it, between the two of us, I think it's just greater than the sum of its parts. But it's like your character, it's like
J.R. Dawson. Is that the name? J.R. Dawson.
Mhm.
It's like something was created. It's the alchemy of art. Something was created. She created something. And I think those characters, I think when a writer writes, they're creating, and it takes on its own form of energy. And the minute it's published, it is out there in the world. It is a real thing. Energy is a thing. I mean, scientifically, I'm not being woo-woo. I mean, I am really, but by you adding your creation to that energy, it's making it more realized. So when you wrote your short story and the narrator took your energy that you put out there, she put her energy into it. It creates its own third thing.
It's a third thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's what in my opinion, a truly good audiobook becomes, which is why also, in my opinion, we all know when we're new and we don't know our boundaries and we don't know who we are as a narrator. And sometimes newer writers don't understand the process either. So sometimes there's a challenge. So many narrators I know, when you're very new, you have to learn, look, I've got this, put a little bit of trust in me, because you get the writers that want to read every line and you're like, it's a 10-hour audiobook and you don't get the magic doing it that way. But also, I think the big mistake is they need to release their character into your safe hands so you can help add your energy to it. But they're holding on to their character.
Yeah.
And you can't do anything about it because it's not
be like
out
being
there.
A playwright in a way.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I never thought of that.
Yeah, I did plays in Chicago in my early career where the playwright was actually in the play. And he would rewrite as we went along. And that was kind of interesting. And he was pretty good about it. I'm not sure I would have been as comfortable with some of the things that, when you hear somebody else saying your words. But then again, that's what he wanted to do. That's why he was writing plays. I think when you write a book, you're not necessarily thinking about an audiobook and you hear it a certain way. I mean, I've written a couple of books and frankly, I'm narrating them myself. I'm not giving them to somebody else to narrate.
Which is a choice. It's an artistic choice. Yeah. And what he did is, but I mean, I was in a play with quite a well-known director, but he was very, volatile. He was not, he was good at what he did, but he had a very specific way of approaching the work. And the writer came from America to watch it. And were ready to open, right? Like, I think it was like dress rehearsal. And the writer had a whole bunch of notes, which mostly consisted of do it the opposite.
Ooh.
Of the way.
Well, too bad, right?
It's I don't think people understand. I think it's like, narrators that they record the book and they're still too insecure. So they go over it themselves when they're new and they listen back 600 times and redo things. And
oh, I've done that.
Take out every single breath and try to control it. You can't, if you make something beautiful, you have to let it go a little bit.
The other thing is that's really been hard for me, but I'm sure I'm not the only one. Not only do you have to let it go, but you have to acknowledge that it's not perfect. It's just not. It's never going to be.
It's got the broken bits are the perfect bits. You're right. It's the broken bits are the beautiful bits. And so basically you have to have that core of happiness in yourself that you're happy to show your, I hate the not perfect, but it's the you're happy to show the oddly shaped, fruit that you grew on your farm. The bit with the branch mark on it that the grocery stores won't buy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the stuff you want.
And that's when you become amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not going to of course you do a good job.
And if you screw up, you go back and fix it. But there is no perfect. There is only true.
Yeah. Yes. PJ said that. There's no overacting. There's
Guy's a
only
genius.
honest. Yep, 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 yep. Okay.
Because
How
he
did you
agrees with
become
me.
a narrator?
How did I? Okay. I became a narrator because I was working in Los Angeles in voiceover mostly. And I had done a little bit of TV here and there, but I had gotten a good voiceover gig that was regular every week for a Southern California chain of grocery stores. And I was doing their voiceovers for their TV spots and their radio spots. And it was great. And I did
Yeah.
it for 16 years. And it was union, and I was putting money into my pension. I had health insurance.
Nice.
Every week I had this job. And then in the summer of 2017, I went to England to the Anime Con at Coventry. And while I was there, they hired somebody else. And
How long were you gone?
I was gone for 2 weeks, but I had all the equipment. I took my equipment with me. I made an arrangement with the producer that I was going to be able to record while I was in England, and in London. It was when I got the word. And
Did they give you a reason or just?
no, they just decided to try they got a guy. They wanted a different sound. And the thing is, at first I was just furious and terrified because I had had all my eggs in that basket, which was my mistake, not theirs. But I didn't have a contract. I had a great gig for 16, 17 years. And that I needed to look at that a different way. Like, wow, that was really great. I had this great gig.
Mm-hmm.
Now I have to do something else. And that's not somebody else's fault. It could have been done a little more politely, but when I got home and had no job, a friend of mine who lived in Pasadena at the time, who's not here anymore, and I live in Pasadena, by the way, we went out for coffee. She's a voiceover person named Karen O'Brien. If you guys, some of you may know Karen. She sat me down and she said, "You need to be doing audiobooks." And Karen and I had done theater together. She knew me. We'd known each other for 18 years at that point. And I had even taken an audiobook class 10 years before with Scott Brick and Pat Fraley and Hillary Huber. A whole day-long audiobook class.
See, if you'd
And,
started
they had
then,
encouraged
you'd
me, and
be.
they had been so positive, and I had thought, I didn't really want to be an entrepreneur. So I never pursued it. And then 10 years later, when Karen suggested it, I thought, boy, she's right. Now I had written 2 books. And at that point I was, being an author and an actor and a voiceover, it all seemed to come together. And she took me over to Dion Audio and introduced me to PJ and people like that, and Deborah Dion. And that was the start.
And do you find, because I did voiceover,
Mm-hmm.
but when I started doing audiobooks, like I suddenly started making excuses for why I couldn't get to the studio to do voiceover, because like I would always choose an audiobook, even if it paid like almost nothing, over a voiceover job.
I would go and do a voiceover job if I were hired to do one, but I haven't actually been pursuing it.
Yeah.
And entrepreneurially speaking, I've been pursuing audiobooks and having a good time.
Yeah.
I like the community. I like this. I like seeing friendly faces on the screen. In all the things that we do together as narrators and audiobook professionals, I enjoy that part almost as much, or as much. I'm pretty social. I enjoy it as much as being in the booth and narrating.
And your book, your latest book, I love the cover. Tell me about your latest book. I don't have
the cover. Wait, I have it. I could share it on the screen.
I think.
No, you'd have to make me an admin. Never mind. Let's not do it.
Well, I mean, it's easier. I think I actually have it from when I put it in the video.
Okay.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. Walk me through. Okay. Oh, wait a minute. I lost you. Hold on.
I'll show you the t-shirt my book designer made for me.
Isn't that gorgeous, guys? There's something about a good book cover. Tell us the story.
Oh, I'm glad you like it. Okay. Originally, the book cover was designed by Kate Wong, and you can find her online. She's a wonderful artist. And that was 10 years ago. I published the book 10 years ago.
Oh,
And right. So I'm reissuing the print and the ebook because I just did the audiobook and it's coming out. I'll go out on a limb and say May 1st. Maybe sooner.
so
Yeah.
what struck me is I don't know if they're new headshot, see your headshot with you lying down, and see that cover and see your online branding and your website. They all have a very specific style. I'm surprised you had someone else do the cover for you. Does she know you very well? Did she ask you a lot of questions? How do you have that streamline, this is Petrea, and it screams through every single thing you do on your website and everything? I mean, do you just hire really good people that get it out of you, or
Apparently, because I'm completely not conscious of it.
Who thought of your
I'm not a
headshots?
branding expert. I have no
Who thought
idea.
of your headshots of you lying down like that? And
my husband took those pictures outside the police station in Pasadena, California.
because they're so you. I mean, where did
Aren't
the
they
thought of
great?
having you approach it that way come from? Is he a photographer?
Yeah, he's a really wonderful photographer. He's also
Yeah.
a writer. And we went over to the police station because it has this really cool background, and just, took some pictures there. And apparently we're not the only ones who've done it, because nobody came out of the station to go, hey, get out of here,
Well, it's like LA, Pasadena.
Oh yeah, it is. Yeah. But they knew we weren't criminals, so
Yeah, I mean, there's a photo opportunity everywhere there. I remember that from living there. I think things have changed now because the
you
homeless
lived in the same
problem.
neighborhood, Daniela.
What?
You lived in the Fairfax district, didn't you?
Yeah. Did you live in the Fairfax area?
Yes, I did. I lived there in the early 90s.
Yeah, it's the best neighborhood in the world.
No, it's not.
It was when we lived there. I've got
It
lots
was
of
when
great
you lived
memories.
there.
It
But you're not
started off
there anymore,
Hancock
so.
Park, and we lived in my first place in LA was in Hancock Park, and it was like a studio apartment, and the oven was right next to the toilet. Like literally, and a friend sent me pictures of it last week, and I think it's going for like 1,800 a month. And the oven is still right next to the
nothing.
toilet.
Pasadena, LA has gotten it's gotten like New York expensive.
Wow.
So
Wow. I wouldn't recognize those. I haven't been back to LA since 2000.
How long have you been in England?
I'm trying to 2002 this time. And I lived in Jersey and the Channel Islands a few times, and I lived in London a few times, but the time it stuck was 2002. 2002. And
I would
it's
do it if it weren't for the weather. I love England.
Well, because when you marry someone from another country, you always have that someone's always an expat. And I think it was easier for me to be an expat than for him, because he's from Glasgow and nobody understood anything he said. Literally didn't understand him. He could not function. People did not understand him in California, which was weird.
Well, my spouse is not a big traveler. I love to travel, but he did go with me to England in 2017, and he loved it. And
it's very romantic.
Yeah, but it gets cold there, and I'm a wimp when it comes to weather.
Yeah, but I hear you guys are having a lot of weather recently.
It's been colder here than usual, that's for sure. Lovely today, but very windy.
I loved LA because the smog. I love the sunsets, the beautiful red sunsets, because you only get those in LA.
Not like it was 20 years ago.
I miss that. And I remember being at a bus stop once, a whole story in itself, and it hadn't rained for like a year, and there were like a few drips in the air, and this guy and his kid were standing with me next to me at the bus stop, and only in LA, and we all looked at each other and went, what? Like, we didn't know what it was.
Well, we sure learned this year. Even some of the reservoirs are full now. And it's
I do
been
miss
the
it.
whole time I've been here, they've been low.
I miss it. I miss Trader Joe's. You guys don't know how
Mhm.
good you have it. Go
Yeah.
kiss Trader Joe's for me.
Okay. I know we got the groceries. We got the
Yeah.
groceries going
Yeah. I think you always love the food. Um, I'm digging this 10-year-old Petrea. What genre do you move toward? What genre do you like the most?
To tell the truth, I don't care so much about genre. I've done sci-fi, I've done middle grade, I've done fantasy, I've done women's fiction, um, nonfiction, all kinds of stuff. I really don't care. I like good writing.
Yeah.
And you come across bad writing and good writing in every genre. And
Mm.
I do think lately I have been getting books where the main character is an older woman. And my feeling about that is bring it on. I am loving this. That I've gotten had one released today that was about a woman in a retirement home who has this moral dilemma and makes what could be a horrible mistake. And that's a really interesting story. And I don't know what genre you'd call it except for fiction, you know?
Yeah, I like straight fiction. It's especially the really well written stuff. Kim
Mhm.
wants to know what your ghost story was about.
Oh, it was about a young woman who was in love with another young woman and was trying to protect her, but she couldn't stop herself from exploring a strange note she found. And her girlfriend was like, no, don't go, don't go. But she went because she found a note saying, and that wasn't for her. It was like stuck in the bushes. It was trash, but she saw it. Meet me at such and such bar at this time on this day. So she went to see what it was about. And it turns out the note was for her. And that, I don't want to give away the ending, but it puts her and her partner in danger,
Ooh, I
very
love
bad danger.
that. I like a
Yeah.
good ghost story. I
Yeah.
haven't done one in a
It
while. I
wasn't
like
there.
that.
There wasn't really a ghost except for we never do get to meet who wrote the note. So it could have been a ghost. We don't really know.
So possibly suspense.
Yeah, I would say suspense. And
Yeah.
on there's a lot of good stories on this compilation of ghost stories from Blender Woman. And a lot of good narrators too,
Yeah.
wonderful people. Yeah.
I love that. Okay, so lessons, things that you know now as a narrator that you didn't know when you started that you wished you had, you could have saved yourself some time.
Slow down. That's
In your
one.
actual narrating or in your career or in
Narrating,
everything
just
in
in the booth,
narrating.
just slow down. Just let the book pace you instead of trying to pace the book. What else? Be me. Don't try to play some character that I'm not right for.
Mm.
Vocally, um, record the audition the way I talk and then let them decide. I had a great review the other day from somebody who said they really should have gotten an older narrator because I sounded like a young person trying to sound old. I love that.
I love that. That's kind of a compliment. That
I don't
is.
know if it is. It's just an illustration of how differently everybody hears these things. How
But
personal the sound is.
I was watching a video and I thought it was really interesting the other day, and they said that stop complimenting people. Oh, you look so young. Because
Yeah.
what does that even mean? Why is that a good thing? You're just forwarding the idea that young is good and old is bad, you know.
It's
And
why I don't lie about my age or sometimes I announce it. I'm 68 years old. Woohoo! Big deal. Um, Partly because, especially women, but I think men too, we're taught to be ashamed of our age by the time we get past about 25. I mean, really, people are complaining about the big 3-0. give me a break. Or getting into their 40s and being old. I'm sorry, 40s were fantastic. I had a blast in my 40s. I got married in my 40s, to my best partner. And it's not like it gets better all the time. Some things get better and some don't, or they just get different. But there's nothing wrong with being old. I'm kind of proud of it.
Well, because the alternative.
Yeah, really.
I mean, the woman on the video she said, so you're what? You're 40 and you're going to decide you're old. And then what are you going to do? Spend the next 40, 50 years whining?
Oh, really?
It's, it's buying into the game. It's like the weight thing. It's like, I'm not going down the road of regretting the past, but yeah, it's hard not to bitterly regret the wasted times when I didn't do things that I should have done because I was waiting till I was thin and worthy. And LA did that to me. Moving to LA is specifically what did that to me.
I got it done to me before I even got here.
Yeah.
It's just our culture, and it's not just magazines. It's men, it's other women, it's each other. And I just don't want us to do it to each other anymore.
But what it comes from, I think, is cowardice. It comes from the same place where my brain immediately comes up with a worst case scenario about everything. Like, tomorrow I have to wake up a little bit early. Oh my God, my life is over, right? Because we learn it from our parents, but we also learn it because we're human beings and our brains are like, okay, being negative so far has kept you alive. Let's just keep doing that.
Yeah, exactly. That's definitely a
Don't
human
be taking
natural
chances
tendency.
and yeah,
because you're protecting yourself.
negativity bias, and we do, and so the lowest common denominator breeds faster than people that have the guts to kind of stick their head above the crowd, because it'll get chopped off. Isn't that the crab daisy thing? I can't remember who's climbing out of the pot, the crab or the daisy. The daisy gets its head cut off and the crab gets pulled down back if it tries to climb out of the jar. But anyone that tries to better themselves or think differently than the herd gets knocked right back down, because then you're a threat. Right? So being older, not a good thing, because you could become weak, couldn't you? Because you're not going to be young and like breeding for the herd. It's we're animals.
Strong.
Yeah, exactly. But we're animals at the end of the day.
Because I don't give a flying F,
I love that. I love that.
Maybe I am a threat. I don't know.
I want to be the daisy sticking its head above the crowd. I want to be the daisy sticking its head with faux fur and tassel.
I have to say, I'm really pleased with myself that I don't think I've said a single swear word this whole hour. And that is good for me.
Oh, I could have told you there's no problem.
Oh, I know I could.
I've only ever had to childproof one call. And that's, well, two calls. I've had to childproof. So yeah.
Oh man, I don't know. That's what society is doing now. It won't forever. It won't do it forever.
Nothing ever happens.
Right? Everything comes and goes.
Yeah. Every generation has their like reason for things. I think.
Well, yeah, and hopefully over time, slowly, we get better. Hopefully. We don't need trigger warnings anymore.
Better in some ways. There's always better. I just think, at the core, because isn't that what we do? We tell stories. If we connect, the more we connect, all that other stuff goes out the window. I'm nice to you. You're nice to me. I share my toys. You share your lunch. We don't call each other names. Those lessons they taught us when we were 5. And all the other lessons. Don't snack all day. Don't stay up till 3 a.m. Go outside and play, and don't sit in front of the
fresh air. Clean up your room. Yeah.
All those lessons. We could use them now, huh?
Mm.
What do you dream about, Petrea? What's like your biggest dream? Living somewhere, doing something.
Yeah. Um, I dream about either beautifying the place I'm living in or going someplace else. I do kind of dream about England,
Yeah.
uh, and writing and narrating my own books.
I can see you in a loft in London writing away.
I think I would live in the country.
Oh
I would live
yeah?
in a village. I went to when I was there in 2017, I went to South Cadbury, which is a village not too far from Yeovil. And I went there, it's in Somerset.
I was
I
because I'm
went
sitting
there
here going, I
because
don't know where any of those places
yeah,
are.
it's not a big famous place, but in South Cadbury is where Cadbury Hill is. And
Oh,
Cadbury Hill is a hill fort. It's actually private property, but you can walk on it. And it's where I set my novel because um, it is one of the places rumored to have been King Arthur's fort or Camelot, but it was never that kind of castle.
okay.
Not the kind that we picture with the turrets and the flags and everything. It was a fort, a hill fort. Early 6th century was the last occupation, I think. But they did in the 1960s, I think, or maybe it was the 70s, a Welsh professor and his students did a dig there, and they found the Great Hall, and they found
Wow.
where people had lived. They found evidence of a battle that happened somewhere around 500 AD, and and I used everything they found in my picture of what was there because it's a time slip novel, and my modern character ends up there in 500 AD,
I love
basically.
those. I love time travel, anything. Have you listened to, if you haven't, I tell everyone this, and I have a feeling not one person has ever followed my advice. Um, the Agatha Raisin series by MC Beaton. Okay, oh my God. Only the ones narrated by Penelope Keith. She's a famous
Okay,
British actress. There's something crazy like 22 of them or something.
write this
Um,
down.
but I've listened to the whole series numerous times. She's that good.
Wow.
And when I lived in LA, I used to listen. You got to start the book one.
Okay.
But it's centered in the Cotswolds. It's about a woman. She's like, I think 50 something, 60. Nobody's going to get her down. She knows her mind, and she's used to be a big PR agent in London, and she moves to the Cotswolds
Hmm.
and she solves mysteries. But the thing is, it's not even the kind of book that I would like listen to or read, but it's so astoundingly well narrated
Oh,
that
okay.
it's like the characters are just amazing. It's just
Oh,
amazing.
oh,
She
good.
was,
Thank you. I'll take your
you would
recommendation.
love it. If you like England, if you like the countryside, you'd be moving to the Cotswolds. I'm telling you, you listen
Mm-hmm.
to those books. It's pure joy. It's like pure joy. I
Oh,
can't say enough. And nobody I've ever have been I've been going on about those books for years, and I don't think nobody's ever come back and said, "Oh, I listened to the Agatha Raisin." I
oh,
can't
that's wrong.
understand it. So, if you're going to leave the audience who are going to be watching this in the next 60 or so years, and you want them to know something, to understand something, to take one thing away from this call, what would it be?
I think we've already talked about it. And that is love yourself now. Appreciate yourself now. You're beautiful now. You're ready now. Start now. Don't put it off. You start now. You're already good enough. And you're already beautiful enough.
you know what? I don't think you need to try to get anyone to like you, because the thing about but the thing that's clear, and people's reaction when I said that you were coming on a call, is you like us and we feel it. There's just something about you. You exude that, and people like that feeling.
I do like everybody. There's people that I don't like. There really are.
Yeah.
But I learned this when I was a kid, when I really did want everybody to like me. And I learned that basically if I liked them,
They'd like
if
you
I was
back.
nice to them, then, not everybody's going to be your best friend. But I do.
But in an honest way. I mean, because in my old job, I used to have to hold appraisals. I managed a large team, and I did like them for the first few years. And in the end, not so much. So before I'd go in to meet them, I would make myself genuinely try to find something I liked about them, to remind myself that I had to like them. It was my job to respect and value them and like them and find something to like about them. But it became a lot of hard. It was like, because I kind of really didn't, but you kind of really
I
seem
don't like
to like
everybody.
people.
I'll be honest. Not everybody deserves to be liked. Some people are jerks. I don't like them.
Yeah.
But if you're a decent person, what's not to like?
Yeah.
We don't have to be the same. We don't have to have common interests. As long as you're a decent person.
Yeah, it's owning it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I get to decide what decent person means in this instance. I mean, we all do, right?
It's going back to the same theme.
Yeah.
It's going back to your website. I'm a grown-ass woman.
I have to credit that quote.
It's brilliant.
And I don't know if she'd want me to name her, but I met a casting director during one of the APA's Meet the Producer sessions. And I read for her, and she was very, very nice. And she said, I cast stars. And I'd like to be able to use you sometime when I don't have to cast a star, but mostly, just so you know, you may not hear from me right away. But she said, what I like about you is you're a grown-ass woman. And I said, I'm putting that on my business cards.
That is some tagline. That's like that's the only other one I've ever that immediately comes to mind is Sen's, where she says, I play badass heroine.
Badass heroines. Yeah.
Yeah. I love that.
I was jealous. Oh, Sen, I wanted that one. But
no, but they're both perfect.
Yeah.
They're both perfect.
Yeah. That's the kind of books I like. I like grown-up books. And that doesn't mean I only did one middle grade, and I'll probably never get another one because I don't really sound that young, but it was a grown-up book. These kids were experiencing all these adult things. Not sexuality, that's not it, but they were going through some pretty profound experiences.
Is it like, Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret, that kind of thing? The Judy Blume books? Is that what we're talking middle grade?
My old roommate from Chicago narrated the first Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret.
Oh my God, now that's an honor.
That was a long time ago too. Audiobooks were not really that big a thing.
Wow.
Laura Hamilton is her name, and she narrated that book.
I think I figured, because can you tell I've been trying to figure it out, and I think it might be the same with Zura and Kim as well. There isn't like a quote unquote specific style that I can peg on you. It's just that you own it. So you didn't have to go out and I'm going to do my headshots and they have to be this style. I'm going to do my book cover. It has to be this style. It wasn't a planned thing. You just kind of own what you like and own what you don't. And I'm me. Yes, I like to please people. I'm like this. You're unapologetic. And I like that.
Oh, thank you.
I want to be unapologetic.
I'm sorry. No, I'm just kidding.
I like that. I do like that. I'm going to do that this year. I'm going to be unapologetic.
You got nothing to apologize for.
But yet
You're
I
just
still do.
generous and sunshine all over the place.
I apologize if I accidentally walk too close to a pigeon in the park.
Well, now that's unfair to the pigeon. You should apologize for that.
It has been a pure joy. I'm so glad the broadband held up and that we got
Me
this
too.
chance to chat. And thank you so much for joining, Petrea.
You're welcome. And thank you all for coming. It's really been nice to feel so honored to have this conversation.
And you guys know I'll send the chat to her as well. So anything you want to say, it will definitely be forwarded. And thank you very much to the wonderful audience as well. And Petrea, mwah, you guys, I hope you all have a wonderful night, a day.
Thanks, you guys.
I don't know where you are, but have a wonderful week. Bye.
Thank you, Daniela.
Bye. Thanks,
Bye,
Petrea.
everybody.
Bye.